If you really want to get the most out of your tennis game, it really comes down to doing one thing. And this is the one thing you have to do after you understand exactly what to do. Meaning that you're learning technique, you're watching videos, you know what to do. But the thing is, you're not doing what you know when you step on the court. And that's because you don't have enough repetition. Repetition is the mother of skill, meaning that even if you know exactly what to do with your ground strokes or your backhand or your serve, until you've done enough repetitions that you don't have to think about it, you don't own that stroke. Recently I had to play some and actually compete, and I haven't been practicing, I haven't been putting in the reps, and I found myself not having the shots that I normally have in a relaxed situation. Because under pressure, guess what's gonna happen? Your mind's gonna go back to the repetition you've done. Not only that, it's really good to understand that repetition, if you stop doing it, it goes down. You lose your ability to have that muscle memory. So just because you might have had it 10 years ago, doesn't mean you're gonna have it when you step on the court today. So that's why I'm gonna show you some of my favorite drills to do with my brand new ball machine, which at the end of this video, I'll tell you if it's worth it or not. So let's get started. So I wanna talk about the best way you can use the ball machine, because I see so many people going out and using ball machines with the right intentions of getting better, but they're doing it the wrong way. Meaning, number one, they don't have a purpose or goal. They're just going out there randomly hitting balls. Forehands down the line, forehands cross court, forehands lob, one hard, one soft. That's not what we want to do. When you go out and train, you want to have a purpose. You want to have a singular thing you're trying to work on. Or if you're going to have more than one thing, really make sure that they're very close together. So the very first thing I like to do when using a ball machine is to start off working on consistency. And that should be the foundation of everything you do. Even if I'm working on hitting a bigger forehand, I want to hit a bigger forehand that's consistent, because most of the points are won in tennis are won because someone makes a mistake, not because you're just blowing someone else off the court. If you're actually blowing someone else off the court, you're probably way better than them, and it doesn't really matter anyway. But if you're beating the people you really want to beat, if you think about it, those are tough fought matches. And it comes down to making good decisions, being solid, and having reliable strokes. And the only way you're going to get that is by practicing. So the very first thing I like to do for anyone is just focus on making balls. So I'm going to start off just making balls cross court. I'm gonna let the ball machine warm up, and all I'm gonna do is try to make 6 balls cross court. There's a great study out there by Craig O'Shaughnessy, who's a tennis statistician, where he found out that pretty much 67% of points are won between the first 1 and 4 strikes of the ball. This is the serve and the return, and then the first ball and the first ball after that. That's it, 67%. So if nothing else, if you focused on not making mistakes in the first 4 points, you're ahead of most of the pack. Then pretty much it scales off from then. I think it was like something like 17 or 18% for balls struck 5 through 9, and then like a very small 10% or less balls struck 11 plus. So while you might be working on hitting 30, 40 balls, you really need to focus on consistently not missing the first 4 shots. And that's why I like doing drills like this, where I'm just working on packs of, or sets of 4 or 6 or 8 balls, or maybe even 10 or 11. That's about it. And I want to see how many times can I consistently do that. So in this first drill, all I'm going to do is hit 6 balls cross court. Boom, 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 boom. 6 balls, I pause for 1 second, maybe let 1 ball go past, and then I reset and go 6 balls cross court. Now, this may seem easy in the beginning, but if it's not easy, we're gonna make it hard in 1 second. But this is the foundation of making balls and making sure that I'm having a number that I'm going towards. Now, if I hit 6 balls really good, maybe I'll go to 8 and then 10 or 11. Now from here, the next thing I'm gonna say is like, can I get the ball deeper? Meaning that, can I get the ball past the service line? And my goal, honestly, when I'm hitting, is I want to get the ball between the service line and the baseline. I don't want to get it closer to the baseline, I'd rather have it closer to the service line. This is the reason why. Or right in the middle, both of them would be the optimal place. I want to hit a bunch of good shots to win points, not a bunch of great shots. If I make a mistake and hit the ball halfway between the baseline and the service line, the ball's still in. If I make a mistake and actually, when I'm going for halfway between the baseline and service line, and hit a couple feet inside the baseline, it's a great shot. Whoop-de-doo, yay, I get an advantage. But if I'm going for 2 or 3 feet inside the baseline and I make a mistake, it's out. So we want to string together a bunch of good points to win matches, not a bunch of great ones. So this leads me to the next drill, whereas I'm going to try to go 6 balls, sets of 6 or sets of 8 or sets of 10 or 11, where I get the ball past the service line. Another thing that Craig talks about that I think is really important is the importance of depth and having the right amount of depth. Sometimes I think when we talk about depth, players are going too far. So they're going so deep that they're making mistakes. And we want to always remember rule number 1. I like saying this if you've ever heard or you ever know Warren Buffett. He's one of the richest, or I think he's still the richest men in the world. But he has a saying: rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. In tennis, rule number 1, don't make mistakes. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. So we want to make sure we do this in sets of 6, 8, or 10 or 11 balls, and make sure we don't make mistakes. And I like to do this when I can do 5 sets. 5 sets of doing this consistently starts to get a little tough. Now, if that's not tough enough for you using the ball machine, I got the next best one. Now, you should be noticing how the level of intensity and focus of what you have to do increases. Now, you have 2 different ways I can show you to increase the difficulty of this. I think this is so important because so many players are concerned with like super intense, crazy drills, but they can't do the simple fundamental drills and then make it a little bit more difficult that turn into more complex drills. So I can add movement to this, meaning that I have to hit 6 or 8 balls, or 10 or 11. I don't know why I like saying 10 or 11, but and I have to add some movement. So maybe I'm moving out, hitting a cross-court ball, it has to go cross-court, and I can still do the same thing, and it has to go past the service line. Those are 2 other ways I can increase the difficulty of this. The final way I want to tell you about increasing the difficulty and the focus level is this. You have to hit, let's start off with 6. This one you want to definitely start off with 6. But start off with 6 balls. You have to hit all 6, moving out wide, and you have to hit it past the service line, okay? Now, after you do that first set, you got to do another one. If you miss any of the balls, you go all the way back to set number 0. So you could be on your 3rd set, your 4th ball, you miss that 5th ball in that 3rd set. Guess what? You go all the way back to 0 until you get 4 or 5 sets. This is a great focus drill. If you can do this, guaranteed you're going to win a ton more matches. And not only if you can do this on your forehand or your backhand, this adds so much more confidence to your game. And these are the type of drills I like doing when I'm using a ball machine, especially if you don't know what to do. Okay, let's sit down and talk about this new toy of mine. So if you're in the business of getting a ball machine, we're going to talk about this ball machine, the Slinger. And let's just kind of give you an overall view. This is probably the beginner kit. I shouldn't say beginner kit, but it's the first kit where it's just the ball machine. You don't get any extras. They have a couple other kits where you can get the oscillator that'll send balls side to side. And I think another one comes with like the tube where you can pick up balls and stuff like that. And then you have another one that has like everything else where attachment for the camera. I'll link kind of to their page so you can see all the different options they have. But this is just the basic one where it's just the ball machine. Some of the things overall is that I was really surprised, a couple of things before I get the pros and cons. I was really surprised how big the bag is, but I was also really pleasantly surprised at how much storage it has, which I think is kind of a new, kind of innovative thing that they're thinking about, like, okay, well, if you're going out to play tennis, why not house everything in one location? So like this is where you would put your rackets. I'd say this could probably fit about 3-4 rackets really comfortably. You could put a towel in there, even some water or not in there, as plenty of room. The other thing is you have compartments all over it. So on this side, you have another compartment which you could put keys, your wallet and stuff like that. If you can see that over here, this one here. You have another one where you have a USB here, and then you have another compartment where you could put something like, what did they suggest? Just any other things like a towel and stuff. And so you can see all the compartments are zipped up. So from the beginning when you get it, everything is enclosed. So like this is open, and this you just pull back, clip it here so it stays open, and yeah. As far as the build, I think it's really solidly built. I've only had it for probably about 2 weeks now, and the zippers are really strong. The wheels are big and it's super convenient. You have the slider right here if you want to go somewhere. I love it because I think one thing for me, we have a ball machine here at the club, but this is just super convenient. The ball machine we have is pretty big, and it's a nice, really nice ball machine, but it's like pretty cumbersome where you have to wheel it out, you have to plug it in. You know, you got to find the plug, so and then you got to kind of adjust it like any ball machine, and that could take you like maybe a good 10 minutes to get everything really set up where you want it. Where this, I can wheel it out, boom, it's ready to go in probably under 5 minutes. So let's talk about the cons, and I'll come back around and talk about the pros. Cons, it's big. It's bigger than what I thought it was, and at first I was like, man, this thing is huge. So it's kind of a pro and a con here. But when you really understand, like, here's where you put all the balls and the balls kind of go in there, it's pretty self-containing. So it kind of could be a pro or a con, depending on like how much room you have to store it, but it stores pretty nice. But when you put it in the back of your car, if your car is like a mid-sized car, you're like, whoa, this takes up a lot of space. And so that's one of the cons. One more thing to mention is that when you get it, if I can find it, you get a remote. And so the remote has the on and off for the feed and the oscillation. I don't have the oscillation, but if you do, you plug that in here and then it'll oscillate. So another con is that it hits with topspin. And I'm not talking about like gentle, nice, caressing topspin, aggressive topspin. And so that's one of the cons. You can't kind of get a neutral flat ball. Let's say if you're a beginner and you just really want to groove your strokes and not worry about the force of the ball with the spin and kind of jumping off the court, that it can be a con. Another con of it, well, I will say is this. When you turn it on, like I'll turn it on right now, you hear it beep, and then the wheels don't start up. Yeah, the wheels don't start up. And then when I hit this button, like this, well, I'm not gonna hit it because it's gonna fire at the camera, but I'll hit the button and it takes another, probably about say 10, 12 seconds to fire. And I almost think like that's overdone, because if you have the remote, more than likely you're on the side of the net ready to hit the ball. So when you hit it, you have to wait another, you saw that when I was warming up, you had to wait another couple seconds, quite a bit of while, for the motor to turn on. I think the wheels get going and it fires. So that may just be a function of they're trying to save power, because it is, I think, rated to last like 4 to 5 hours. And I've only charged it once, and I've used it probably about 3 or 4 times and haven't had an issue as far as charge yet. So that's one little con of it, but it might be just because they're trying to save power. Pros are, for the price, it's really convenient and really well built, and it makes me wanna come out and use it because it's simple. I can store everything in it. Everything's kind of self-contained. I don't have to have the extra basket for balls and then dump that in there. So that's a huge, I think, pro. The price is another pro. When you look at it, all the other ball machines out there, even though I don't have oscillation with this one, oscillation I think is an extra $150, or it might be a little bit cheaper if you buy it with the kit together. But if I wanted to add on to that, I could get that. But it's an awesome price for what you're getting. The features here is you can increase the speed, the feed, and on the side you have a knob where you can increase how high or low it goes. So it's super convenient. Would I recommend this for you? I actually would. Even if you're a beginner and it does have quite a bit of topspin, you can put it some pretty low speeds and you still get the topspin, but it's manageable. But I think the convenience really makes it easy to go, hey, I want to go hit some balls. I can just throw this in the car, wheel it out, the ball's already ready, the racket's already in there, and I have plenty of storage room. And for that reason, I think it's a no-brainer. I'm not an affiliate, so you know, it's not that I'm getting paid to say this or something, but I bought this with my own money, and I actually have really enjoyed using it. And so that's the call on the Slinger. I say it's a go if you want to get one. So I'm going to be producing more videos showing you how to train with the ball machine, because I think this is a phenomenal tool to improve your tennis game, because so many times if you know what to do but you don't have the reps, you don't own it. And if you can get the reps in, you can own the strokes you want, and that means that it'll show up when you want it to show up on the court. So I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed this video.